Welcome to a spin-off of Supernatural Scotland. Today I can show you a good use for your unused pumpkins from Halloween. We will change this bad boy into wine. So, let's get started. There's a few things that you need to make wine. Probably the most important, a demijohn. So you can get these glass ones or you can get plastic ones, but I would go with the glass one. Now you also need a cork and a little filter. We don't use them right away, but I'll show you what to do with them later on. So I've got a big pot to boil the pumpkin once I've cut it all up. But probably the most important thing to do before you do anything is sterilise. If you do not sterilise and bad bacteria gets into your wine, your yeast will eat it and produce something that tastes very disgusting. So always, always, always sterilise. You use tablets, I use sterilising fluid. Got this one really cheap out of Home Bargains. I think it was like £1 odd for that. So you just use a little bit, you put water in, you leave it for 15-20 minutes and then it's ready. So we're all sterilised already. So a few things we need to do. We'll cut up the pumpkin. Now I've got apples too. I'm going to do apple and pumpkin and add a little bit of cinnamon. Now I don't actually have cinnamon sticks, couldn't find them in the shop, but I've got some cinnamon to put in, and probably later on I'll just add sticks to add to the flavour. So let's get started. I shall cut up the pumpkin first and then we'll get this party started. Now normally what I do is I just cut into big chunks, take the skin off and I stick it in. Just do that with the whole pumpkin. Still got quite a lot to do. This is a very thick one, but that will give us lots and lots of pumpkin juice to make our wine with. So here we go. I'm going to finish cutting it all up now. Okay, so that was the workout. So I've got all of my pumpkin in here. Lots and lots of it. I'm going to cut up the apples now and I'm going to put them in too before we get some water in it. And we then basically boil it. So here we go. Okay, so we've got everything chopped up, apples, pumpkin. Now we need to add the water. So I've boiled some water. I'm going to add that first just to get us started, and then I'll add some just hot water and we'll get boiling. So here we go. That's a full kettle of boiling water. Get some hot water out the tap. Now it's important not to burn it because we do not want a burnt taste in our wine. So we need to make sure that we don't do that. Right, so I've not filled it so the water's over all of the fruit at this point, but now we're going to boil it. So it's just important not to put any fruit in it that might be off because you don't want the bad bacteria in it. That will waste the wine. So I've got some ground cinnamon. We're going to put that in while our fruit is now boiling. We don't want to burn the fruit because we don't want a horrible burnt taste, which would definitely happen if we do. So let's put in some cinnamon. There we go. Now I have done this before and I put some cinnamon in and you really didn't taste it. So I'm going to put it in at this stage, decent amount, let it boil. When I'm putting it in the demijohn later, I'll probably put a little bit more in it again because it is a nice little flavour and it smells nice too. So now we're boiling, we're going to mix it up a little bit. Also get some of our ground up cinnamon into our wine, or our juice should I say, because it's not wine right now. So here we go. It smells absolutely beautiful, by the way. And people would ask how long you boil it for. Probably 20 to 30 minutes. Once it's boiling, we'll take it off the boil, of course, because we don't want to burn it, but we'll leave it on for about 20-30 minutes. And then we've got some of our important ingredients which you'll need to buy beforehand, because you don't want to get to this point and be like, oh no, I've not got them. Citric acid, yeast nutrient, Camden tablets, dried active yeast, obviously the most important to make into wine, but we also need sugar. Now the reason for the sugar and the yeast nutrient is the dry active yeast. It will eat those, so it will eat the sugar and the nutrient. It will turn the sugar into alcohol, and that's basically what makes it into wine. So it's important that we look after it, keep it at a reasonable temperature. Wine is quite an easy one to look after the yeast. Most temperatures it will just ferment and it'll go until it's finished. Some other ones can be a bit more tricky, but definitely the wine yeast is one of the easier ones, so that's always good. So we'll let this boil for a little bit longer and then I will show you what we do next. Okay, so now it's quite hot. I've turned it down a good bit on the cooker so we don't burn it. It smells absolutely beautiful right now. So that's it, just cooking away. I'll just keep it going like this for 20-30 minutes just to get the most juice out of it as possible. I might even put a little bit more water in after and get as much as possible juice out of it. And then I'll fill the demijohn with as much as we need. Usually the demijohn will do it to about here, because you'll see that the yeast can go a little bit crazy once it starts. But I will also show you that later on. Okay, so it's been boiling for a little while, so you'll see it's pretty much ready to go. So now it's just a case of moving the juice to here. Now this bit can be messy, so ladle, here we go. I've got my little sieve, and we're just going to keep going like this and fill it up. It smells absolutely delicious. By the way, you can use this style with these ingredients for all sorts of wines. I've done elderberry, blackcurrant and red currant as a mix. That was quite nice. I've done apple wine on its own and pumpkin wine on its own, but I thought since we had apples from Halloween and pumpkins from Halloween, what better mix than pumpkin and apple wine with cinnamon. So I will just keep doing this and I'll show you what to do next, okay? Okay, so I feel like I don't quite have enough juice, so I've put some more water in my pot. I've moved all the juice I can over to here. We'll cook a little bit more and add it here, and in the meantime I can add the sugar. So, bag of sugar, probably going to add about 3/4 of this, and then we'll stir it in. So here we go. I know this looks like a lot, but it's so that the yeast has something to eat to turn into alcohol. So maybe about 2/3 of used. So yeah, that leaves about 1/4 of it left. So I'll put this away, and now we're just going to mix it in. Because the juice is hot, it's just going to melt right into there. So that is that. Yeah. Right, so while my other juice is still doing this thing, I'll put this into the demijohn. If I've got enough, then I can stop. If I need a little bit more, I can take some of this juice I've started. So I need a funnel. I'm sure I have one in here somewhere. Let's see. Okay, funnel, demijohn. Here we go. Now, I've forgotten a very important stage here. Now, my important stage is, not everybody does this, but I read about it and other people doing it. Put maybe 2 or 3 of your Camden tablets in. So I'll put 3 in. Better not forget that. So let's break them down into powder. There we go. I'm just going to put that in there. So that's our Camden tablets. Now we don't need the Camden tablets again until we're bottling the wine. I would put another maybe 2 or 3 in it again at that point. So there we go. Right. So I'm now going to put it into here. Try not to make lots of mess, because now it's a sugary juice. It will get very, very sticky. So I'll just hold along. Okay, that's starting to come to the boil, so I'm going to turn the pot right down, just in case I need a little bit more juice. I'll just leave it flowing along. Better give it a little stir. There we go. Oops. There, so that's that. So let's just continue with this. So see the colour of it. This is because of the cinnamon obviously in it. It might not look nice. It depends what you're using to make your wine. Might look beautiful at this stage, but it'll always change colour when you put your yeast in it as well. It'll become very, very cloudy. It'll only be when the yeast starts to die off and it starts to clear that you'll get the real colour. A lot of things don't have much colour. If it's pumpkin, it will be pretty much like white wine. Same with apple. If you're using berries, obviously it's going to keep some red colour in it as well. So I'll get on with filling this now, and then we'll go to the next stage. Okay, so we've done a little bit more, and as you can see, it took us up to here. We want to be about here, so I'm going to put some more juice in now, see where it takes us to. And probably just to finish it off, I'll just add a little bit of cold water just to bring it up to here, and that will cool it a little bit more. And in a little while we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Right now it'll be too hot. You need to let it get a little bit cooler. It's quite piping hot at this. I think I read 25 degrees it needs to be. I might be wrong, but you know, cooler. So if we give it a couple hours to cool down. That should be enough, and then we can add the rest of the ingredients, and then I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so we've cooled down enough, and we're going to add the ingredients now. You can see the colour of it. It'll probably completely change, but so we're going to put 2 tablespoons of each in. So here's the first tablespoon of citric acid, and then 1 more. So that's 2 teaspoons. So that's that one. Next, I'm going to use my yeast nutrient. Now it's important to make sure these are in date. I know people who have had them for years and then tried to use them and the wine wasn't very nice. So there we go. 2nd teaspoon of yeast nutrient. Here we go, just knock any little bits back in. Right, so that just leaves us dried active yeast. Here we go. Now yeast kind of spreads, so you only need a little bit of it to survive, and then it spreads and it eats all the sugar and anything else. So we've obviously put in sugar and yeast nutrient, but there would be natural sugars obviously in the fruit as well. So it'll eat all of that up too. So here we go. Now for my 2nd teaspoon. And there. So I'll just bring you a little bit closer to see it. Do you see it floating in there? So it will start to spread pretty quickly. So we'll just leave it and we'll come back and I'll show you another little video soon. Now we never put the airlock on it. A little bit dusty. The airlock on it right away. We need to let it breathe for a while. So probably I'll not put it in until tomorrow night. So we're 1:45 right now. So I'll leave it the rest of the day and the night and to tomorrow, and I'll probably leave it the full day, full 24 hours, and then I will put that on, and that will allow it to breathe and spread. You can see some little bits starting to sink now. So it's doing its job. So I'll show you a little video later to see if there's any changes. And then I'll do a last video tomorrow when I put the airlock on it. And then I can do a couple of updates on the Facebook page. So it's just been a few minutes and it's starting to spread now. Do you see that? Pretty quick reaction. That's looking promising. Now I'll update you later and show you what it looks like tonight. As you can see, overnight it has grown quite drastically, and it will continue to grow today, and later we'll put its lid on. Okay, so as you can see, got plenty happening here. That's been over 24 hours. I'm going to put this on now. See, I've got some water in there now. Here we go. Push that on nice and tight. There we go. And it's just patience. So probably in around a month or so, this will start to clear. It'll stop the bubbles, and then it'll pretty much be ready to bottle. So I would just put probably another 3 Camden tablets in once I've crushed them up, mix them about, give it another day, and then I would be ready to bottle. Thanks for watching. Any questions? Just add them to the comments or send us a little question on the Facebook page of Supernatural Scotland. Thanks for watching again.